today's DNVR Nuggets Podcast. The two of us are going to talk about a bunch of Nuggets topics, including who's the toughest in the West. We're going to rank those teams. We're also going to talk about continuity rankings and 2025 free agent targets to kind of just put in the back of your mind as this season plays out. This is DNVR Nuggets. Baby, 3-day weekend felt like forever.
I could have used another day, but it's all right.
Couldn't wait to get back to work today. What is up, everybody? Welcome to the DNVR show. Live from the Toyota Lounge, driven by your Front Range Toyota stores. Toyota, the official vehicle of DNVR. I'm here with my old pal, Brendan Vogt.
Hey, man, how are you? Just you and me, just two man gaming this thing up, you know?
That's how it's been for the last month, just the two of us.
It feels that way, doesn't it?
Why would we add anybody else?
No reason to shake it up.
Oh, my God, we're mixing it up today. He's back.
Put me in, coach. Put me in, coach. I'm ready. 3-man weave.
DLine is in the house after
That's right.
taking, I don't know what it's been, 6 months off?
Yeah, off.
Yeah, where were you? It was Hawaii or
No
was it
work at
Canada?
all.
Where were you?
I was just in a sleeping bag.
Oh, you were just in a sleeping bag.
Yeah, in my bed the whole time. Like, just sort of like I liken it to being in a chrysalis and how I'm back, baby. I'm back. I'm new.
It is a lot like a chrysalis. Do you have any news to report from us on your journeys? How have your journeys gone? I mean, in all sincerity, you guys saw we opened Dallas. He was down in Dallas.
I've been in Dallas for a very long time. I lived there for a month. Very hot.
Yeah.
Dallas, very, very hot. Dallas kind of cool, actually.
No accent, though.
I would say that the people that I encountered didn't really have much of an accent.
Really?
It's like one of those things, like if you go to Boston and you walk around, like
Oh my
everybody
God,
is like
yeah.
all, hey, what's up? And then you go on the public transit and they're like all,
I want to hear it.
yeah.
Go for it. I want to hear it.
They're like, next stop, Malden. And you're like, oh, Jesus Christ. And it's, but I mean, you get a y'all, everyone's there with a y'all. But Dallas was not as I expected. It was very friendly. It was very wide open, terrible traffic, good barbecue. I spent.
We had a great barbecue. I spent $50 at a fast food barbecue place.
At a fast food place.
Well, fast food's the
Fast
wrong way.
casual, maybe. I mean, it's
just
really
a
good.
It's just a barbecue pit, like one of those places you line, like when you see,
You're not
like
supposed to spend $50 on it, but I had a pound and a half of barbecue.
it's expensive.
You're a big
'cause it's
guy, you know?
Yeah, dude. I got a
Guess how much I ate of it?
All of it.
Every single part of it.
Yeah.
Part of the bone, even.
Yeah, man. And so we got our Dallas brethren, enemies, however you want to look at it, all set up there. We now DLLS Mavs is a real thing.
Dude, I'm telling you, I know already. This is a comedy that is going to become a tragedy. This is chapter 1 of like a Game of Thrones book where it's like, oh, they're fast friends.
Yeah.
Nothing would ever drive a wedge between them.
Right. And then it turns out the NBA season would do that.
First time you match up with the Mavs, like,
but
you
it's-
hear what those guys said about Jokic? F those guys.
Well, I will say there is a kinship. We are kindred spirits
so
because
true.
of our. We both have deep, deep love for who we both refer to as a king. Them, Luka, us, Jokic. Someone from the Balkans is bigger
this is
than
like a
anybody else in our
Catholic versus Orthodox kind of thing.
Yes,
a little
although
bit.
I did also come to realize like just how big Dirk Nowitzki is to that company.
Yeah.
It is to that place. Like I didn't, I was like, oh yeah, Dirk, whatever. I mean, Dirk is their Jokic. Like Dirk
Yeah.
is he's everywhere.
Yeah.
He comes up every day. He's in this. He's there. It's like it was a lot to see. But it's cool. They're really cool people. Mark Stein is on that show.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Which is pretty insane.
Yeah, he's the best.
I imagine Mark Stein
We
will
got to be on
probably-
the show this week because he was in Slovenia. Nobody really reporting on. Nobody went to that. Stein was there. He has some anecdotes for us.
All
Yeah.
cities Mark Stein hanging out.
All Cities Mark Stein. Yeah, man. So I imagine All Cities Mark Stein will appear on this show from time to time as well. But it was good, man. It was, whatever. We go.
Yeah, we go. It is funny to think about, though, like, Jokic is so supremely the best player in Denver Nuggets history.
Yeah.
So there's not a weirdness to him. But you can envision, like, hopefully long in the future, Jokic's era is over. Luka's awesome. Probably better than Dirk. But to your point, they never had a Dirk. And then they had one. And so then you get one like this is how it is in football. Peyton Manning, John Elway, awesome.
Yep.
Some people like Peyton Manning more, some people like John Elway, and it's cool that you have this. But there is a thing of like 10 years from now, if we got a Luka Doncic, it'd be like, man, this guy's awesome. But I'm a Yoke guy.
Thankfully, they got that one little bridge year where they played together and have a relationship together. And there are enough clips and videos out there of Dirk and Luka being boys. I feel like that somehow would make it easier.
Dude, I would 1,000% love for Yoke to play a little too long, no longer competitive.
And then
but you know what? He hands it off.
Yoke, and then we don't have to feel weird about it because Yoke has almost knighted him for us,
Yeah.
right? So I think there's part of it that way. But I've always thought Dirk, and I don't mean play style in any way. I always thought Dirk spiritually, like in terms of spiritual kin in the basketball legend world, he's the Jokic like brother to me of just.
Yeah.
He wasn't. I mean, he was a prospect, but Luka was supposed to be Luka. I think Dirk was a little better than everyone thought. Then, like, way better than everyone thought. Then, okay, maybe not as good as we thought. Too soft. He's not going to get this done.
Yeah.
He's not actually one of the best players. Then he has one of the all-time playoff runs.
Yep.
And he does it without a ton of help in the All-NBA All-Star department. So, obviously, a Hall of Famer and Jason Kidd, some other guys, but. It wasn't like everyone was in their primes.
No, man, that to me is as impressive a championship for an individual as we really have in recent history.
And because everyone has had to do it with help, except for you could say Jokic technically with accolades, although Jamal certainly
He
contributed.
played that way in the playoffs, though, man. He was an all-star.
But Dirk was the head, like the center of one of the more unlikely all-time impressive runs, and so I kind of think they remind me of each other. In a outside of this is how it's traditionally done.
It's exactly the sense that I got. Like, I mean, I really felt big Jokic kinship vibes between like they set up their set and they have a Dirk Germany jersey hanging up, and like it's like all this stuff.
Yeah,
and it's like
exactly.
if DLLS Mavs had been around at that time, I'm sure they would have like deep German connections in the same way we have Serbian ones, and I suspect that they will have deep Slovenian roots that will be formed with the Luka crowd. But it is cool. It's funny. I mean, just everything is the same no matter where you go. I mean, first off, it's all the same restaurants. Like it actually is just one city that the U.S. has now, but it's just like. It is funny how we have noticed this already, but it just gets more and more reinforced. Like every fan base is the same. Like they're just like
you really learned that in our position.
Yes, dude. Like they're there. They're just like, oh, no
different.
one talks about Luka. This is ridiculous. Like everyone says he's too fat. It's like he didn't play defense. Like all this stuff. I was like, oh boys,
dude. Even more than that, their baseball people are kind of similar. Hockey people are kind of similar. Like you almost get this.
Well,
you can walk into an office. Like we'll open a new all city office, and I'm like, don't tell me anything. I'll be like, okay, that's the hockey guy right over here. Yeah. This is the football guys.
They're called archetypes, and they are very real. Human being, just everyone out there, just so you understand, you are not special in any way. You're just a copy of somebody else in another city.
Watching these like this multiverse bizarro versions of us pop up all over the place
weird,
is
dude.
so bizarre.
Oh, dude! Every time I see that, I'm like, "That's Adam. That's Harrison."
The good-looking one you're saying?
Yeah,
Adam.
yeah,
You're
for
like,
sure.
oh, that guy.
Yeah, that's Harrison.
No, what a cool guy. That must be the Adam of the group.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Yep.
I'm surprised you haven't absorbed the accent. I love how much I absorb accents, man, when I go places.
It's called being a chameleon. Nobody
That's what
likes
I am.
that.
Nobody likes it, but I can't help it, man.
I actually was
walk around London. I'm like, sir.
My dad's like that too. Sometimes he'd get on the phone with telemarketers. I'd have to be like, dude, stop
doing the accent.
Stop. You're doing
It's
it.
actually
You're doing it
offensive
again.
what
This
you're
is
doing right now.
offensive now.
I did for a second. I was like, I should show up to the first podcast back wearing a cowboy hat.
You should have.
But I don't have that. I'm not gonna buy that. I can't
even fake it.
I can't even make that happen.
Dev would have done that.
I know.
Dev will buy a full
I know.
costume for like a 2-minute bit.
I don't understand anything about Dev's personal life. Like every day I see him, he's wearing a shirt I've never seen, shoes I've never seen.
Different outfit every day.
Every single day, and they're not like none of them are cheap. I don't.
What budget is he?
That's what I'm saying, dude. I don't understand.
It is crazy. We're going to keep it moving here, but before we move to segment 2, we're going to actually talk about the best and worst matchups in the Western Conference for the Nuggets. Is it the same as last year? What things have changed? I think that'll be a very good 2-segment conversation. But I want to start us off, warm us up as we do in segment 1, with an excruciating ask.
Oh, great.
I'll start over here.
Awesome.
Murray has yet to sign his deal, but he is eligible for a Supermax next year. Should he just play out his final year, win all NBA honors, then he could come to the table next year, not just sign the max, but a Supermax. So let me ask you, What would you prefer? Would you prefer just signing Jamal Murray to a max right now? Or if I told you he played so well this season that he won all NBA honors, but the cost of that awesome performance from him is now you have to sign him to a super max. Which one would you rather roll? Both of them would be an insane roll of the dice, but which one would you prefer?
I'm going to say the second one. The hope is that Jamal's good enough that you have to give him that contract, and whatever fallout there is from that in terms of building out the roster, so be it. But you're also screwed if Jamal isn't good enough.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say now I don't like the idea of waiting from like behind a veil of ignorance, but if I know how this ends and I know that he gets all NBA, then I'm going to say wait.
What do you think, man?
I mean, listen.
Would you, in 1 year, if he got all NBA this year, best year of his career, would you be like, oh, that's who we got now? Or would you be like, I still don't know?
If he wins all, yes, I would think that's who we've got now. I don't know. I mean, like, if he shows that he's better, then he's better, right? I don't know. Like, I would prefer that they don't commit to a max contract on him at this exact moment in time if they're able to. With the possible, I mean, you're telling me that the downside is that he's all NBA and we owe him more. Like, I'm fine with that. That's fine.
Well, I'm just saying, like, with Murray, it really is a question of your trust level in his ability to become consistent, because we know his peaks are great. And if he gives us the peak of all peaks this year and earns that, it's just, would that quell your concerns about, oh no, he, is ready to be this guy?
Yes.
Or would you be like, I don't know, man?
Yeah, well, is it going to be this way from now on? I don't know if I would say that either, but what it would mean to me is that he heard all of this,
Yep.
and it went the right way.
Yep.
Because, this is not, I keep saying this, I'm talking about people. This is so general. This is not Jamal. Honestly, I'm projecting. I'm looking inward. Like, sometimes it's look in the mirror time, and it's easy to be like, oh, you guys don't know anything.
Right.
I'll show you.
Totally.
It's really easy to burrow and go the wrong way. But if all of this, from not just the organization waiting and whatever it is they're talking about or not talking about, people like us on the show, the fans, the Olympic run, if he sees all of that and goes, man, I have to prove it. He does.
The biggest thing to me is, and I think Vyacheslav had it perfectly in the chat here, if you told me that Jamal Murray has an all-NBA season,
Yeah.
the Nuggets are the 1 seed.
Yeah.
Forget all
Of
this,
course.
how do the pieces fit or whatever. All-NBA is way harder than All-Star. If he made All-NBA, I'd be like, yeah, they won 60 games this year. That means you had
incredible.
2 All-NBA players.
If he's on that level, it's them, it's Boston, and no one's even close.
And no one's even close. And so I would take it, even though it would carry a risk. By the way, this is what we call a thought exercise. Also not just guys talking. Because I don't think any of this is
guys
what's
talking,
going on.
man.
I think the Nuggets, I would expect it this week. We'll see. That's my own hunch, not reporting anything, but I would expect it this week. We'll see what happens. All right, let's take a break. On the other side, the meat of our conversation here, we're going to get into the West. How do these teams stack up against the Nuggets this year, and who is the toughest matchup?
I have a new morning routine. I won't get into too many of the details.
Oh man, is this more of the IBS stuff or no?
No.
Oh, okay.
But it's actually about mindfulness, and I'm not full on doing yoga yet or meditating. I do stretch though every morning now, and it helps me feel really present. Helps me feel really grounded,
Right.
and it's a really nice way to start the day. Stretching, yoga, meditation, music, getting some sun in. These are all great ways that you can practice mindfulness, and that's part of the challenge that UC Health and Coach Prime, their Chief Motivation Officer, are leveling with the Ready, Set, Go challenge. The goal of the challenge is to get Colorado back to its rightful place as the healthiest state. Guys, chilling can be fulfilling. We're very, especially, hey, I just mentioned Coach Prime. That's a fellow who's always on the go. He's got a lot to do. But sometimes mindfulness, mental health, it's about taking a step back through one of the many examples we just provided. If you want to join UC Health's Ready, Set, Go challenge, click the link in the show notes or go to www.uchealth.org/Ready, Set, Go challenge. And Toyota is the official vehicle of DNVR. If you're a trucker, yeah, they got trucks.
Sure.
If you just need to go off-roading, but you're not necessarily hauling the weight of the world. You just want to go off-roading.
So wait a minute. If you own a truck, are you a trucker?
I don't know. No, not necessarily. I keep getting the verbiage.
I think that's like if you're.
Can you tell
that's
that
your
I don't
job.
own a truck? So there are some people that have trucks, some people that use trucks to haul the weight of the world. There are some people that just want cars to go off-road. There are some people that want smooth city rides. Some people want more low and zero emission vehicles at their fingertips. No matter who you are, you need Toyota in your life. Visit your Front Range Toyota stores at a location near you. AutoNation Toyota, Arapahoe and Centennial, Corwin Toyota in Boulder, Groove Toyota in Littleton, Mountain States Toyota in Denver, Stevenson Toyota East in Aurora, Stevenson Toyota West in Lakewood. Toyota is a proud partner of the Denver Nuggets and the official vehicle of DNVR. Beep, beep.
There you go.
You have to do the beep.
Beep, beep.
It's in the horn.
It's in the read, beep, beep.
All right, let's move on now to our topic of conversation, which is how will the Nuggets match up against the best of the West? Show me the graphic again, Kale. What do we have here? You have a tiered... Kale, super producer Kale has created a tiered list of these teams, so we can kind of look at... That was a cue I thought we were fired up for. I thought... So there it is. All right, so we're going to put these into tiers. What does the top one say? Favored against Denver? Yeah.
Favored, yeah.
Coin flip... And then you'd say slight maybe underdog to Denver, then Denver should beat them. Like Denver should just absolutely beat them. And we're going to start with the Dallas Mavericks, the defending Western Conference champions. They obviously had a big offseason getting Klay Thompson, losing Derrick Jones Jr. They also brought in one of mine and your personal favorites, Quentin Grimes, who I think is going to have like a pretty good renaissance.
They are
there.
very, very excited about Quentin Grimes.
I'm very excited about him, although it sounds like his injury concerns are like even greater than...
Yes.
He's kind of a PJ Dozier situation where they're like, we don't know how the knee is working, but it's working for now.
He can still run
and
for
then
now.
Najee Marshall, who's kind of tough as nails. I mean, I always kind of liked him, gives him some length. So those were their key additions. Obviously, they were good last year. Eric, how do you think Denver matches up with the Dallas Mavericks?
It's... For me, like any matchup that you think about for the Denver Nuggets starts in the middle of the court. Like, who do they have that can make a real appreciable difference on Nikola Jokic?
Yeah.
And that's like why I felt like had the Nuggets gotten past and maintained their 20-point lead in the third quarter, made it to actually play Dallas, that they wouldn't have not had much trouble with them, because I just felt like Nikola Jokic would have run over everybody that they have in the middle.
Derek Lively, rookie last year. He is a big-bodied guy. I mean, he is the mold of player that I think could guard Jokic well, but more of like he needs seasoning. You know, he's a second-year player.
He definitely needs seasoning. He's also like one of those kind of
Defensively,
athletic centers that Jokic typically makes mincemeat of, because they like want to use their athleticism against them, and he ends up just getting them up in the air. And so I just don't. The thing that I'm very curious about is Klay Thompson. I mean, we're going to see like what Klay Thompson, his role obviously very different this year. He's not a splash brother. I don't know if he's starting for the Mavs or not. Like,
he's definitely starting. They're paying him a lot of money.
Yeah, it's so.
But he's starting at small forward.
Makes them significantly worse defensively.
Yeah, it does.
Losing
It
Derrick
does.
Jones Jr. and going to Klay Thompson. I know Klay was once a decent defender. It's just at this stage in his career.
Absolutely. And Derrick Jones Jr., they are mourning the loss of his defense. And so, I don't know, man. Like, I still think that the Nuggets, I mean, we probably have to put him at a coin flip, honestly, I would say. I mean, do you agree with that? To me, it's like I don't quite know exactly who they are, because they made some, like, pretty meaningful changes, and they're starting from having the momentum of what they did last year, which absolutely nobody on earth saw coming, early in the season at least. So, but I don't know. How do they stop Jokic, man?
Yeah. What do you think?
I actually have slight edge to Denver on this one.
I'm in between here too.
Me too. It's not easy, because like you look at the whole roster, and I understand, like, outside of the Jokic piece, you could talk yourself into this over Denver's roster. I agree with Eric. I think Denver stands a better chance of guarding Luka than Dallas stands a better chance of guarding Jokic. That might be oversimplifying the hell out of it.
Well, it's sometimes it comes down to that. Like,
yeah,
Aaron Gordon guarding Luka might just be enough to tilt the scales.
We'll see. I mean, Klay is an incredible off-ball option. How much is he freestyle? Is there any chemistry they need to develop? He has played alongside certain players for a long time, but he obviously is a scoring threat. I actually think this is still a matchup I would take for Denver, but I'm not saying like, oh, they win in 5.
I think it's tough. I go back and forth between coin flip and slight edge. I don't think Dallas has the edge, and for the reasons you mentioned, I do think Jokic, especially in a playoffs, like
what
how
do you
many
do?
guys have ever challenged Jokic in the playoffs? Honestly, like the only guys that have ever challenged him were the combination of Dwight Howard and Anthony Davis, two of the best interior defenders ever, and he still made mincemeat of him, like in large part. So, to me, I look at this and I go, Derek Lively. I think you're underrating his defense a little bit. But he's also just too young. Like, there's not that many guys his age that in a playoffs could go toe-to-toe with him. They do have some interesting pieces that they could try to counter, because one of the other ways you try to beat Denver is to not, okay, we can't stop Jokic, but can we spread him out? And they do have guys between, I mean, first of all, I think Jokic's number one easiest matchup in the entire NBA is Daniel Gafford.
Probably.
Do you remember some of the games he's had against Daniel Gafford? Yeah, one of the perfect triple-doubles was against him.
Gafford straight up simply cannot guard him.
Cannot guard him in a way that is like laughable to him. So I think that takes it out. But you do look at P.J. Washington and even Maxi Kleber and say, well, they can't guard him either, but they can maybe zone up and then make Jokic have to really extend himself. So as great as Jokic is, I do think that Jokic defensively in that series would be a tough, I think, series for him with the ability to spread him out.
I mean, that's the thing, is that everybody in the Western Conference is now loading up on as many big guys as they can, knowing that they have Jokic the monster.
But I actually don't think they do. I think they more have stretchy options than they do have backup big options.
Yeah, that's fine.
The other question then becomes, of course, who does Denver have for Luka? And I actually, this is going to sound like I don't know how many peppers this one will be, Kale.
Christian Brown?
I think Denver is better equipped to guard Luka this season than ever before.
Definitely.
And it's not necessarily that they are great to guard Luka. Nobody is. The same way nobody is able to guard Jokic. But you look at it and say Aaron Gordon is a good Luka defender.
He's probably the best Luka
He might be
defender.
the best one out there, but one guy, you just switch him off. It's too easy to do that. Peyton Watson, I think, actually fits this mold as well. He's too small, like he'll get bodied, but he's long enough, and we know he blocks more shots than any other wing player in the entire NBA. Christian Brown has the strength to at least switch out and not be murdered. Again, I don't think he can guard Luka Doncic. But when you talk about your switch hunting, Denver has three players they can play together that would match up with him in a way that's at least like, hey, that's not a favorable switch.
And this is not about comparing those two players. This is all through Denver's perspective. They have a harder time guarding Anthony Edwards than Luka to me. Like, just as far as like, we have no one that can do this. Like I have now, they haven't played Dallas in a playoff series.
Right.
That is a huge and important difference. And Luka's had, but I've actually always felt like Denver's at least had a plan against Dallas. And there are times when I've watched them against Minnesota where I'm like, I don't know, hope he misses, because like they can't guard him. And I, even though Luka's a significantly better player, like Ant was this weird, he was way too big for their guards, but he was too small and quick for AG. I actually think AG is a decent option for Luka. All things considered, it's a relative term. And you know, like, make PJ Washington hit some threes. I can live with that. The Clay thing is a huge question mark, but I actually still think this is one where it starts from Jokic, and I would give slight edge to Denver.
I will say that I think that Kyrie Irving is actually a harder matchup than most for Denver. Like, that's a guy where is Murray going to have to guard him, and I think that's a tough one.
That's where you lose KCP and you feel it.
100%. So I think that there is a little bit of like, okay, Luka, Denver probably can knock down relative to his average a tiny bit. Still great. And Kyrie probably plays a little better than average there. And I always say, though, if this was Denver and you told me, well, Jokic has a tough matchup in this series, but Murray has an easier one, as much as that's awesome that Murray has an easier one, I still would rather Jokic have the easier one.
Of course.
And it's the same for them with Kyrie. So here's my final ruling. So you said slight edge Denver. You said Denver. Coin flip. I'm going to rule in favor of slight edge Denver. I think I'd actually lean Denver on this one. DLLS fans, be mad in the chat. I know they're not going to appreciate that one.
I think if I were a Dallas fan, I would get indignant.
Of course.
But I also think like they need to beat Denver in a playoff series before I change my mind.
Ty Lue has been talking in the offseason. He thinks that people are really starting to count out the Clippers, which is kind of funny because people have counted in the Clippers.
It's about time.
The annual count in of the Clippers.
It only took 6 years.
I do love that for the last 5 years, everyone's been like, I think it's the Clippers year, and it's never been it.
Year.
And the 1 year, everyone's like, I don't think it's the Clippers year. Nobody believes it is. What's going on here? But nonetheless, can I get wild?
Playoff
I think he's right. I think he's kind of right.
They lost Paul George.
And Paul George, it's going to be a big loss. But you know what? That team had too many stars. I know it's crazy to say, but I think that they might have a little clarity. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. I think they have been better than their reputation in pretty much all of their years, but they're never healthy. Are they going to be healthy this year? Probably not. So let's just go. We'll start there. But they still have a pretty good roster. And you want to know what? One of these two guys is going to hit this year. Chris Dunn or Bones Highland. And I just look at that and I go, you know what, man? This really might be the year Bones plays a lot of minutes because he's good. And that team kind of needs him. I think that they're going to be a good team. I'm not going to say where I go yet. I'll be the judge on all of these, the tiebreaker. But you start us off.
I would have Denver heavy favorites.
Heavy favorites?
Yeah. I don't think the Clippers are very good, man.
First of all, I think Zubats might be statistically, he's the best matchup against Jokic. He guards him the best. I know it doesn't always feel that way, but statistically, Jokic shoots significantly worse against Zubats than any other center.
Yeah, I don't think. Okay, so the last time Kawhi Leonard factored into a playoff series that he finished was.
It's been a while.
Open-ended question.
Honestly, probably the bubble. He was healthy in the bubble.
In the bubble,
still
so
got smacked.
I just can't. And I know that Paul George wasn't a paragon of health, but between the two of them, they at least had one of them often.
Right.
I don't know, man. Like I just think this is they're like a bloated carcass. They're trying to fit that new arena, and they have a face they can put on a poster, and they'll probably make a lot of money, but they're headed in the wrong direction.
Let me give you a counter, and this is really what frames this for me. Last year, James Harden kind of became a point guard and just distributed. He hasn't scored at a high level for a while, but I think he still has it in him. So to me, this comes down to, like, Kawhi is going to be in and out of the lineup or whatever. But can James Harden still score 25 a game and do all the other stuff, in your opinion?
No.
See, I think he might be able to, but
I don't
curious.
know. Like, to me, this era has passed. They are the poster child of. This is now the team of yesterday. They've got all of these guys that you thought, you really thought that they did something when they got Kawhi and Paul George together. It was like, oh my God, they've gerrymandered the league. I can't believe it. This is so unfair. And it just never amounted to anything. And the fact that Paul George left now, and now you're left with Kawhi Leonard and James Harden, and you're looking at Bones Highland to be the guy that steps up. I mean,
well, they have a lot of players. Terrence Mann, Zubats is a really good big. He's one of the top bigs. They have a good team, man. Derrick Jones Jr. played a real part. Normal Powell.
I don't think they're a league bottom feeder.
Batum's a good connector.
As it compares to the Nuggets.
If you get into a playoff series with Denver,
they're definitely going to the playoffs.
Slight favorite or heavy favorite then?
I would go heavy favorite. I think that's right.
Well, they overruled me. I don't even get to be a tiebreaker on this one. I would say slight favorite personally because I actually think they're better than people think. The issue is, are they going to be healthy?
No.
So
it's a pretty significant.
You know what I mean?
This
team might actually be as good as I think they could be.
Sure.
And they match up in a playoff, and it's like, oh, Kawhi Leonard's on a bad hamstring. Like, go figure.
Yeah, like 2 great games, and then.
Although if the Clippers FLCCL was doing this podcast right now, they'd be like, is Jamal Murray going to be healthy? Come on.
Yeah.
And we'd be like,
yeah,
hate these guys. Let's move on to the Phoenix Suns. We really do have enemies everywhere.
Enemies everywhere. We're just setting up our own bear traps across this great nation.
It really sucks. So here's the thing. They have Grayson Allen back again. I think their starting 5 is pretty solid. I don't know if you saw Yusuf Nurkic making 3-pointers on the timeline offseason here.
He's making threes now?
Yeah, he's making threes now.
I was like, yes, please put him in that role. That is incredible.
Tyus Jones and Monte Morris are both there.
Boo.
They've also got Mason Plumlee, who is, look, whatever you think of it, Nurkic and Plumlee represents 12 fouls and big bodies.
God damn it.
But they're going to use all 12.
And you guys know, Bol, could be the year of Bol.
Wake me up when you don't mention an ex-Nugget player.
I'm just saying that their roster, though, in all sincerity, is the roster from last year, but better. I mean,
Royce
objectively,
O'Neal,
looking at it, is better than what it was last year.
Yeah.
So
Nurkic, Monte, Mason Plumlee,
Bol.
Anyone else we're missing?
Man, that is a lot of ex-Nuggets. That's crazy.
It's insane. Well, their main issue last year, I think that the world agrees, even though that the podcast wouldn't agree until late, is that they didn't have a distributor, didn't have a point guard, had all these guys that essentially play the same kind of role, like off ball, can do a little bit for yourself, but just are much better when they're being fed the rock. Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal. They have 3 decent point guards that they can sort of decide. I really don't even know who's going to start for them. I don't know if it's going to be Monte Morris.
No, nobody. I don't think it is.
Wasn't Tyus promised a starting gig?
I don't know.
Was that just reported?
Well, who's coming off the bench then? Because you're right now, Nurkic starts, and then your big three starts, and they had Grayson Allen. So I think Grayson Allen would start, so you don't have a point guard.
Which is insane. They have to get a point guard.
So
they
then
should
what
have
do you-
Bradley Beal come off the bench is what they should do.
They
Truly.
should. They really
Honestly,
actually
they
should.
probably should.
I mean, I think that's probably what will happen. But they need to have a guy that can actually distribute the rock. Like, it's possible that you could see a little bit what you saw out of the Olympic version of the Suns players if they had somebody that was actually like running, like when they had Chris Paul, for an example. Like that's when they were at their peak. I would say at this point, I would probably say slight edge to Denver. It seems like we should crush them, but like I don't know who Denver is, and I don't know who the Suns are exactly. Like there's a lot of pieces I don't quite know how they fit together, and they did get pieces that kind of make sense a little bit.
Would Westbrook in a potential play? Because a lot of Denver, how you feel about him is, can Westbrook play in the playoffs? He was that bad last year that it was like if he did that to Denver, Denver would lose. That's how bad he was in the postseason. And now you add in the Kevin Durant factor of this. Would it be a little personal? That series just, I'm telling you, think about how personal it has felt. Now add Russell Westbrook to the mix.
Oh, that's a great angle.
Westbrook taking 3 shots a game that you're like, Russ, no.
Dude, right up until Russ starts taking pull-up jumpers, I'm so in on this.
I know.
Right up, and so I think Phoenix, they got swept, right, by the Wolves?
Yes,
last year?
they did.
Could they be a better team this year? Could they get a game or two off someone in the first round, be a bigger threat? I could see it.
I know.
But are they better poised to beat Denver? Well, all of a sudden I find myself thinking about Jamal Murray.
I know.
Because
He was great when they beat him 2 years ago.
between
when they needed him.
Jamal and Jokic, it's like, these guys can't hang. But that was Jamal and Jokic.
Right.
I don't know if it can be just Jokic. He can do it, but do you feel good about it, etc.? So I guess I really should slow my roll, considering how concerned I am about Jamal. But I don't see, one way or another, I don't see Phoenix beating them. It's either slight or heavy.
All right, I'm going to go full. I hate that this is my honest opinion here. I think this is a meaningfully different Phoenix Suns team. Now, the kicker is Kevin Durant seems to get annoyed of every situation he's at. Like, how close are he and Devin Booker? They seem to have really bonded at this Olympics. But you asked me at the end of last year, they just got swept by the Timberwolves. I was like, I think Kevin Durant's not on that team by the end of the year. But now I look at it and I go, they were weak because they always had to have some player, no facilitator, but also whoever they would bring out, a Kogi or anybody else. It was like, that's just the guy you leave open.
Yep.
On rotations. They can now play Monte Morris or Tyus Jones in that role, and I just think they're going to be significantly harder to guard. I feel like I'm buying Clipper stock circa 2020, but I think the Suns are good this year. I think this is finally the year that they get over the hump and are the team people thought they were going to be 2 years ago.
Yeah, it's possible, but this is the thing that you have to circle back. It's like, how many games is KD going to play this year?
That's another part of it.
It's not going to be a lot, I'll tell you that. Like, he's not getting younger. He missed time last year. He's going to miss time this year.
He's pretty good in the Olympics.
It's true, though.
But that was 6 games.
That I actually do agree with you, DLine. Like, I think the biggest difference to me and Kevin Durant at this stage is by the end of a full season, he can't get to the rim as often as he needs to.
That's like why the Olympics were so interesting and so misleading, because all of the players that really excelled were older players that have problems, understandably, going through an 82-game season and then into the playoffs. Like LeBron James, who has been wearing down, understandably,
right?
But at the end of the NBA season, does well in like a little isolated tournament where it's only 6 games. Kevin Durant, same thing. Like, to me, if they're counting on KD to be a massive piece, which of course they are. Like, I don't know, man. I don't like it.
You guys will find this crazy. I think this one is closer to a coin flip, maybe slight edge, which means we're going to land on slight edge. Since Eric said, one had said heavy favorite, one said slight favorite, and I said coin flip. We'll add a cushy middle there. Let's take a break. On the other side, and by the way, in the chat, let us know as we go to break what you guys are thinking. With the 3 teams we've done so far. But on the other side, the Thunder, the Wolves, and then the rest of the lot. We'll try to go quickly on those ones, but I'm curious who, if any, are favorites in the panel's eyes.
It's never ordinary at Bet365 unless I'm placing a bet, baby.
That's pretty ordinary.
Yeah, it's very ordinary.
It's exquisitely ordinary.
I actually tapped into college football, and I don't mean to toot my own horn, guys. I won.
What?
Yeah, it's crazy. That's not ordinary either. But I love hanging out with Bet365, the pioneers of live betting. They've got a lot of great offers for you, no matter what kind of sport you like to watch. Obviously, in the basketball world, we talked about the basketball early payout offer. Eric, fill in the blank. Basketball is a game of
runs.
It's a game of runs, and sometimes your team goes up by 20. They don't
Shut
even
up.
win the game, but
Shut
you
up.
still win the bet. Download Bet365 right now and use the code DNVR365 when you sign up. You get a 100% parlay boost. Double your winnings on parlays with Bets365 100% parlay boost. That's neat. How neat is that? Real neat. I answered it for you. You also, you get the better get offer, the first bet safety net offer. We've talked about this for a while now, over a year. When you sign up, you get a couple great choices right out of the gate. The only thing is you have to be 21 or older and physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. If you or someone who knows has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. And fellas, I'm on the wrong side of 30. I'm getting older, as you may have noticed, and I do still like to enjoy my Miller Lights, my Breck Brews with my friends, but I also know sometimes, especially with this job, I still got to be able to bounce back and be productive the next day. I don't want to just be tired. I don't want to sacrifice the next day. That's really it.
We don't want to
do
have
both.
to carry your,
my workload for
Yeah,
me.
dude.
That's right. That's why I got to tell you guys about the game-changing product I'm excited to use before my night's out. It's called Z-Biotics Pre-Alcohol. It's the world's first genetically engineered probiotic invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. Now, you may recognize this sensation. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for the rough next day. Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. Just remember to make Z-Biotics your first drink of the night. Drink responsibly, and you'll feel your best tomorrow. Vacations, weddings, birthdays, reunions, there's so much going on.
This
Get
is
the
actually
most
so sick,
out of
man.
your summer plans by stocking up on pre-alcohol now. Go to zbiotics.com/DNVR Nuggets.
For real, man.
To
Go
get-
check this out. There's nothing I hate more than not feeling like myself after a night of drinking.
zbiotics.com/nuggets to get 15% off your first order when you use
I don't even like to drink sometimes because of
zbiotics.com/nuggets
it,
at
but now-
checkout. Pre-alcohol is backed with a 100% money back guarantee, so if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. Remember to head to zbiotics.com/nuggets and use the code nuggets at checkout for 15% off. Thank you, Z-Biotics, for sponsoring this episode and our good times. Like the next time we go to Serbia, I'll need it.
There's times I don't feel like myself the morning after having a big meal.
There are times on this show that I don't feel like myself. Is there a Z-Biotic solution for that?
You're on your own there, brother.
Oh.
Back here at the DNVR Nuggets Podcast, throw us a like if you're enjoying the show so far as we're breaking
Even if
down.
not, dude,
Yeah.
they're free.
If you're hating the show, that are also
Dude, you
free.
just pretend. Who
And then if
cares?
you're coming to the show late, obviously the live chat is popping right now. But if you're coming to the show late and want to be part of the conversation, let us know in the comments. We always check those as well. All right, the Thunder.
The Thunder.
This is the team that is favored right now to win the West. They obviously brought in Isaiah Hartenstein and Alex Caruso. Should I start over here this time?
Yeah. Okay, so just for an important preface, we're just like talking regular season for a second.
No, this is playoffs.
I know.
Oh,
If we were, I think this, in my opinion, the Thunder are heavy favorites to get the 1 seed.
yeah.
Like they have the best roster. They're going to win a lot of games.
Youthful exuberance.
Youthful exuberance. They're lined up to win a boatload of games. They still have to take the next step in the playoffs. And I don't know how well SGA is going to fare as far as the 4-round gauntlet just yet. I still think there's a little bit of just the regular season approach work in the playoffs. I think that's a fair question. I do think they got better with Alex Caruso and Isaiah Hartenstein. I think it's harder for Denver. Denver still has the best player in this series. I think Denver has to be favored in this series until OKC goes to a Western Conference Finals or something. I still think you have to have Denver as favorites. The question is how big. I'm going to say slight edge to Denver over OKC.
Man, I wish I shared that
I know.
feeling.
That sounded great.
OKC was a phenom last year. They did better than anybody expected. They came out of nowhere, and then they did exactly what everyone expected, and they came up short in the playoffs because experience matters when the playoffs come. I think that they probably got a little humbled in that way. They were flying.
I think they just got experienced. I don't even think it's humbling. You know, it's
what
like
we all said would happen to them.
Yeah.
happened.
But even still, like they just the way they played with they're what a pro wants. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like,
God.
they play with a swag that is.
that's the real reason they lost last
it
year.
is totally. But they played with like we don't know what it feels like to be tested. Like this is fun. We're winning. This is amazing. And then they hit a wall in the playoffs. It'll be interesting to see how they respond. I mean, on paper, I think you have to say that the OKC Thunder are the best team in the West. I hate saying that. It feels disgusting. I don't know if it's true, but I think it's probably true. I think they got meaningfully better, which is crazy because they were already very good. I don't like. I mean, it comes to like, and the worst part about them is that they are good and they're also deep, which is difficult. It's like a difficult pill to swallow. I don't know exactly who they are, like, because we've not seen them overcome real adversity. In fact, they folded in the face of real adversity. But I do think, like you said, that probably actually lends to their experience. It actually probably makes them better rather than
It part of their process of getting
it's like
there eventually.
more so than a knock against them. It actually probably is a check in the pro column. So I hate to say it, like I think that they are their favorites. They are the favorite.
I actually think they should be favored against Denver, and it has nothing to do with the reasons you guys said. Why did Jamal Murray struggle in the postseason? Well, one, he wasn't in the best shape and he was a little banged up. But two, because they had so many different guys to throw at him that he never got to take a possession off. Full court press, guys in his face, physicality. Well, guess what? Welcome in Lou Dort. Welcome in Alex Caruso.
That's true.
Welcome in Kason Wallace.
That's true.
Welcome in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who's just big. They have so many bodies to throw at Jamal. I think Jamal would have a very rough series against him. And by the way, Shai and Lou Dort know his game pretty well. You know, played Canada, you know, that history with him. So I think they have a lot of guys to throw at Jamal. And I would just look at that and say, if let's say average post series for Jamal is here, I think it's well below what would be average. That would be my expectation for him. And then my guy Isaiah Hartenstein. Boy, do I hate being right all the time. Now you throw him out there.
Luckily for you.
Well, before they had nobody. Look, Hartenstein would foul out in record time against Jokic. I really believe that. But it's something. It's just some guy that can give you 20 minutes a night before fouling out, and he's at least a big body. And on top of that, man, you know what he does that just wears a guy like Jokic down? Goes for the rebounds with all of his energy. And those guys, if you are not a great player, the number one thing you could do to take a bite out of a great player is just make them do all the annoying stuff, sprint the floor. Jokic beats guys because he sprints the floor. He goes for rebounds. You have a guy that matches that energy, and it's like, even if he's only on the court for 20 minutes, it just uses 25 minutes of Jokic's energy.
Yeah, I mean, I do wonder, too, if now Jokic can guard Hartenstein and someone else can deal with Chet, because I do think, like, the stretch, pick, and pop stuff with Chet was really tough.
What if you stagger those guys a little bit, though?
Yeah, that's true. Look, they're certainly better by adding those two guys. There's no doubt about it. I just think there's a little bit of like, it's not like Denver got swept in the first round last year, guys. Like there was one team that was designed to beat them, and they beat them in 7 in the second round.
Yeah.
They almost went right back to the Western Conference Finals. I just don't like. OKC could very well take the leap this year, but you just have to assume a leap still. Like they lost in the second round last year. I don't think any team out west except for Minnesota actually has proven something.
Yeah.
Like in terms of like, oh, in a 7-game series, like you should fear us.
Right.
OKC's good. Well, they better be. They're supposed to be the 1 seed. And Dallas should be good. And Minnesota should be good. But I think the only team that's earned a right to strike fear in Denver so far is Minnesota. And even that, I think once we get to, I have that more of a coin flip. So Denver could lose to all of these teams, but I don't think we have to sit here and say OKC are heavy favorites. I think they're heavy favorites to get the 1 seed. But I don't know if they're heavy favorites to beat everyone in the West in a 7-game series.
Another fun Russell Westbrook wrinkle. He obviously is most known as a OKC Thunder, so that could be another emotional series in some capacity, both for the fan base and for him. You say coin flip, you say them slight edge. I'm with Eric. I unfortunately think that they have a slight edge against Denver.
I think the Jamal argument's good.
I just think you're not getting a great Jamal. Let's go to the next one. The Minnesota Timberwolves, the team that did beat Denver last year. Well, they got everybody back. It's kind of the exact same team. I know they added Dillingham. I don't know if he's going to be a playoff factor. So I actually think the playoffs, their team is more or less exactly what it was. But Anthony Edwards more experienced, and Mike Conley and Gobert older.
Yeah. And we're talking about how they match up against Denver.
Yeah, that's all this is.
Right. So, I mean, they got to be favored. They proved it, and we don't know necessarily that the Nuggets got better. We think they did.
But Minnesota definitely didn't get worse.
Minnesota definitely didn't get worse. We don't. I mean, there's nothing that Denver did where you're like, okay, cool. That will solve that problem. And what they did was, I mean, in some ways they took a problem away in that KCP got absolutely murdered by Anthony Edwards, and Coach Malone didn't see fit to give Christian Brown much of an opportunity to guard him, and when he did, it seemed to be like at least reasonably, like he did a reasonably good job. So in that way, it's possible that they actually are in a better position just because they're forced to use different personnel on something that caused them a lot of problems in the playoffs. Denver was very much in control of this series. I literally still have no idea how they lost. I cannot believe they got smoked so bad in Game 6. After they won Game 5, I was like, this series is over. They figured them out. I literally, even in looking back, I don't know what happened. Like we'll go back every time is that they ran out of gas. That's it. But still, I don't know what happened in Minneapolis in Game 6. It was almost like the Nuggets believed that they had won the series after 5 games, and
I think they kind of did. Yoke's masterpiece, and it was like, all right, round it out.
Exactly. And
then they got murdered in game, not just lost, got absolutely murdered.
But then when they went up 20, they definitely thought it was over.
So it's ridiculous.
Let's move on from this topic.
So, I mean, I think the betting person has to say that Minnesota should be favored because they most recently beat them. But I think, I mean, honestly, I kind of think, like, call me a homer. Like, I think that I would pick the Nuggets for them to play another series.
Yeah, I'm going to say coin flip because Minnesota won last year. Fair and square. Denver won the year before, beat the brakes off them, went on to win the title.
No Mike Conley Game 5.
Yeah.
Mike Conley's is another year older.
Yeah. I just think this is coin flip. And honestly, it's coin flip, and I would say from everyone's favorite perspective, the hunted standpoint.
Oh, no.
I would like Denver in this one if they matched up again. Which I actually think turned out to be a large factor in why Minnesota beat them this last time. Like, Minnesota had a great year 2 years ago. They felt good about themselves. They get to round 1. Denver beats the brakes off them. But they felt like it was competitive. Like, they lose in 5.
It was one of my number one notes watching it as I was like, they're so much more hungry than Denver is.
So then the next year they come back and just starving for it. And I wonder if now maybe just in that matchup.
Levels the playing field a little.
Denver's like, oh, these are the guys we blew the 20-point. Like, we're not doing this. I'm going to say coin flip for Minnesota because they're literally built to make this a coin flip. That's the whole thing.
I'm going to go slight edge Minnesota, and a lot of this has to do with the Russell Westbrook piece of this is really tough, especially when you think about, like, okay, they have a good defense. They can pack the paint. Does Denver have shooting? Westbrook, does he have to play in a playoffs, and could he play against that team? I think he would be rough against that team, actually. I think that's one of the teams that would beat him. So I think they would be my slight favorites. Them and Oklahoma City, to me, are the two teams that I think are slight favorites if we go against Denver.
Okay, you got Thunder.
I think
we
should flip Thunder and Wolves there on the graphic.
Thunder is supposed to be favored against Denver.
Well, no, but then Adam said 2 of you picked coin flip because Adam went back down.
No, I was not coin flip against Thunder.
I'll move them up.
Thunder to me is, I think for me personally, Thunder and Timberwolves are the two that I look at and go, if they were in a series, I just think Denver would be a slight underdog heading into that series. Could beat them absolutely, but it would take something special from Jamal, and I think it's these two right here. Personally, I think this is where I have a fit. I'm kind of the judge on this. We're making the cases. I think you have it perfect right now. Let's go with the Sacramento Kings. After this, it gets tough. I don't even know who the next teams are. Sacramento. Oh, actually, we have to take a break. Let's take our final break, and then we'll run through these final 3 teams that I have on our tier list.
This is good, man. It's good to disagree because I'm actually kind of fired up.
He's pissed. He's pissed that you've had
I'm
him.
like, oh, my boss and the creative director and the host of the show gets to override everything.
Bullshit.
I guess I have to get my own show. All right. But before I do that, let's wrap up today's show. Let's talk about our friends at Breckenridge Brewery. You guys know where we go if we want a light beer, but sometimes you don't want a light beer. Sometimes you want a Breck beer.
You want a beer?
You want a delicious beer. You want a beer that with a full flavor profile, different kinds of beers you can try. You want a brewery that experiments but never ever loses that core beer element, right?
It's beerness.
There's a universal, like no matter what the beer should taste, when you crack open a beer and you take a sip, you want beerness. And Breck Brew's got beerness. They've also got the new West Coast style IPA. It's called the Ridge Runner. It's a double
it's the
dry
best
hopped
one.
brew inspired by the untamed beauty of Colorado's trails. Creates notes of bright citrus and pine. It is delicious. Adam and I are huge fans. We got to try it at the Breck Brew compound, also known as the farmhouse. You can get this wherever they sell beer. You'll see it by its really slick and cool looking branding. It's like in a green can. It says Ridge Runner. It looks awesome. Breck Brew's great at branding. They're great at making beer.
Yeah, you know what? Well, you know what it is though. What we're approaching the best time of the year. Fall in Colorado. Do you
That's
guys
right.
remember the unofficial beer of fall in Colorado? The Avalanche Amber. Avalanche Amber season, boys.
Let it rock. Let it roll.
The last thing Breck Brew is good
Kale's
at.
with me on this one. He's in a flannel today. I know who my fall brothers are.
It is the best. It is the best.
Thank
the
you.
fall
You could be
guys
a
here.
fall brother, a summer brother, a ridge runner. Breck Brew is also really good at helping you find their beer. There's a beer locator feature at breckbrew.com. Check it out. It'll tell you where to go. I like it when it's that easy.
You
Man,
know, a vibe is being up at Rocky Mountain National Park watching the elk bugle and cracking an Avalanche Amber. That's a vibe right there.
we talk a lot about roofing on this show, right? We talk about roofing. Oh, hang on now, Adam. Because we got you covered on this program from the roof to the floor. Because it's time to talk about Empire Today, baby. With Empire Today, you get shop at home convenience, the right product for your needs, quick and professional installation, and a price match guarantee. Empire Today is the best place to get new flooring.
Hell yeah.
You already know this. We've spent our whole lives seeing the Empire advertisements. Here's another one, baby. They have copycats, of course, because they're the best in the business, but they can't beat
Just like
them
us.
on quality, service, and speed. So they advertise low quality products that was a good one, that we simply won't carry. They don't promise the lowest prices at Empire, because anyone who does that is putting flooring in your home that they wouldn't put in theirs. So cut through the BS. Check out their virtual floor designer. It's a great way to get an idea of how it's going to look before you lay anything down. Schedule a free in-home estimate today. All listeners can receive $350 off when they use the promo code DNVR. Restrictions apply. See empiretoday.com/DNVR for details.
All right, guys, we got to be quick on these last ones because we have 7 minutes and we want to go through them. But these are teams that I think Denver will be slight edges, but you tell me. Sacramento Kings, they add DeMar DeRozan, which is a very strange ad. You know, who knows how he'll fit? But they needed a jolt in the arm. You know, they kind of needed it.
Each season they are a team that adds somebody. You're like, what? And it like works out for them. Have you noticed that?
This is the toughest one, though, man. DeRozan is such a unique type of player to fit in.
He is a unique player.
They're a ball movement team. He's a ball holding player. Like, it's very strange.
It is strange. I mean, but what he is
Russell
like he's he's an incredible mid-range player. It could. I don't know. This is like one where you're like, oh, I have no idea how this is going to work out. But they did add talent, but you can't. I mean, again, this on all of these, you're like, all right, who's stopping Jokic? Like, they've got a guy there that can sort of, but like not really. Jokic always murders him. So Nuggets are favored. In this
Heavy
one.
favorite or small light favorite though? That's really the question.
Heavy
favorite.
Heavy favorites. I think almost every contender or good teams have your favorite against the Kings right now until
Proven
the Kings
otherwise.
show otherwise. Yeah.
I agree. I would say heavy favorite, and here's the reason why. Their advantage against Denver last year was 3-point volume, and their offense. I think their offense is more interesting than Denver's. I wish Denver played a little bit more like they did. But DeRozan is such a wrench in that. He actually takes away some threes. He takes away some of the movement in a way that I think Denver. And again, if you just talk about Denver is better positioned this year to guard a DeRozan than ever before. Christian Brown, Peyton Watson, Aaron Gordon are all guys that you should be able to throw at that matchup should it be a thing that's killing you. And I'm not even sure it would be a thing that's killing you. If we go on now to the Pelicans, let's talk about the Pelicans. Interesting. I don't know how closely you guys follow these types of rumors. Brandon Ingram not present at the team workout
any of their
facility.
games.
More than usual? Or?
I mean, as much as usual as they're all doing they're together, kind of doing some off-season workouts. He's not there.
Man, they are so good at getting their stars angry at them.
No one gets the worst out of themselves like the Pelicans.
Yeah, but at the same time, man, sometimes it's just that's who the guy was had to draft, and it's like, Anthony Davis never wanted to be here.
Or they just don't run their organization that well.
I think it's a little VP. They are a small, tiny market. Nonetheless, here's the thing. You seen Zion? Pictures looking pretty good.
He does look pretty good.
He looks like he might have actually...
Oh, are we in Zion's in best shape of his life season?
Zion might actually be in best shape.
But here's the real thing. Who's their center? Do you know?
Who is their center? I don't know.
No, Big Val is gone.
Big Val is gone.
I don't even know.
They're Daniel Tice. They don't have a
that's
center.
right.
They are a team that is actually going to be the tiniest in the Western Conference.
Yeah, yikes.
Yeah. Good
Yikes.
luck.
Good luck against Nikola Jokic.
I mean,
that's
Jokic seemed to
heavy
enjoy
favorite, right?
beating up on the Pelicans before
Yes,
all this.
and again, like you look at a guy, you're like, wow, you have Zion.
They added DeJounte Murray as well.
Yeah, Zion. You're like, well, we have another big body guy in Aaron Gordon who could theoretically at least slow him down some. So
I'd love to see that matchup in a playoffs. By the way,
He went to the Wizards. Val?
Big Val.
Yeah.
Is that where he wound up? I didn't even remember where he wound
That
up.
just seems like that's like
he magically disappeared.
yeah, it's like getting paid to retire.
It really is. Dude, it's the NBA Siberia keeps moving. It was formerly in Orlando.
I think
Now
it's going to be the
Washington.
Wizards for a while, though. I kind of think they're set up to own
Our
the
nation's
Siberia.
capital, NBA Siberia.
They do have DeJounte Murray and CJ McCollum, which is weird, but they also have a bunch of defenders that should be tough for Jamal Murray. The problem with their roster is I feel like they're half in and half out, as evidenced by Brandon Ingram still being their second best player who doesn't seem like he wants to be part of that team anymore. So I think, sadly, they're going to be what they've always been, which is could be threatening if they do that one thing, but they're not going to do that, I don't think, this year.
That's kind of what I was getting at. Like with this roster that they have, no org is getting less out of themselves than the Pelicans. They should be better, but they aren't. And I don't think they know how to win.
Brandon Ingram for Karl Anthony Towns halfway through the year? Win-win?
Yeah, wow, that's a lose-lose.
It's a lose-lose. All right, really quickly, Lakers. Lakers have not. Here's the only change that they've made to the roster. Denver's been smacking them. No, they got J.J. Redick. So just real quickly, does J.J. Redick make the Lakers, or does Russell Westbrook make the Nuggets? Something that changes this matchup meaningfully?
I mean, I don't think so. They're just they're a team that is still on the decline.
Yeah,
the Lakers.
They're continuing to decline.
They're not. They didn't get better. I mean, having the coach obviously that does help, but their problems were not X's and O's. Their problems were bones and ligaments.
Russell Westbrook, helping to sweep the Lakers is probably the brightest timeline at this point. You match up in a playoffs, and it's like another sweep. This time, Westbrook is murdering them.
It is also to think about. I think what it would take right now to really get upset in this series. You know, KCP said, but KCP's a little too honest. He said that they thought they were going to lose that. They should have lost that Lakers series.
Yeah,
that they won in 5 games. By the way, they were terrible. The Nuggets were terrible.
This is what he does,
series.
man. He leaves a place and says that they actually sucked.
But they won in 5 games, and it's just the point being, there is such an on the court and mental edge. Just all of the edges right now. All of the boxes are checked for Denver in this matchup. They have the better best player. They have the better roster. They have the better recent track record. They have more playoff success. They don't have a rookie head coach. Denver.
All right, heavy favorites on them as well. All right, let's run through. Just give me your answer on these ones. The Memphis Grizzlies. They have Zach Edey.
And they're getting
Ja Morant back.
Ja Morant back. I think it's slight edge to Denver.
Slight.
They were so bad last year, but they were just decimated. They were bad the year. They were really good until they got hit with injuries. I think this might be the year that they actually come back a little bit. I would give slight edge to Denver, although I can understand Denver heavy favorites.
Okay, what do you think?
The only reason I'd say slight is because they're kind of a question mark. Like Memphis to me is the hardest team. What are they? I'm gonna say heavy favorites to Denver because
I go heavy favorites too.
Yeah.
You're gonna tell me Zach Edey is gonna go through an entire rookie season and then match up with Jokic and make an impact in the playoffs? No, thank you. I don't think that's happening. They're good, but Denver should clean up. Golden State Warriors, more or less the same team they've been for the last couple of years.
Trade Steph, do it. Heavy favorites to
So
Denver.
you mentioned that they extended stuff.
But now trade him.
I think this is heavy now. At this
Heavy.
point. Yeah.
I think it's heavy as well. I actually agree with you
Pajemski,
boys.
are you kidding?
And then the last one we're going to do, the Houston Rockets. They are such a weird team. They're such a weird team, man. I don't know what to make of them. But they are young. They are tough. They do have some physicality out on the perimeter. They have Dylan Brooks. I don't know. What do you guys think?
The Rockets, man, they came out like gangbusters last year. We were like, oh my God.
Suck
Like,
down the stretch.
they were terrible down the stretch, but it really seemed like them adding the coach made all of the difference in the world. Jalen Green all of a sudden learned how to play team basketball, forced to eat all my words. In the end, I got to say all my words again. I think that they just suck. I just think that they suck. I don't believe.
You know what they did though? They ate Denver's lunch last season. So I think that Denver would beat them in a playoff series for sure. But they're an annoying one for
They're
Denver.
super annoying.
They're a thorn in their side.
They're just
They
an
also
annoying
have two
team,
true
dude.
centers, man. They have Alperen Şengün and Steven Adams.
And they've got a very tall Jalen. What is his name? The guy that they drafted
Jock
number
Landale?
three.
Are you saying-
No, the guy they drafted number 3. That I can't remember his name.
Reed
all of a
Shepard is their guy that they picked up.
Not this year. Oh my God, Reed Shepard was incredible. By the way, in summer
This is
league,
what-
if we could pull anything from summer league, Reed Shepard is going to murder the league.
I think this one. They also have Jeff Green, by the way, who just has institutional knowledge, which I always think is thing. I would actually go with them, maybe slight favorite. I'd still probably say heavy favorite from experience.
Yeah.
but I think that they're of the ones we just did the closest to being a slight favorite.
This is when you win.
They have two bigs, man.
It's
That's
when
such
you
a big
win
deal.
for
Smith? Is
sure,
that what
but
I'm
it's
trying
when
to
you
say?
hate.
Jabari Smith?
Jabari Smith, is that what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
The number
Maybe.
3. That guy's
They have a lot.
tall.
They have Amen Thompson. You're going a couple of drafts back, but then Amen
That's what I was-
Thompson.
yeah.
This is one they win for sure, but
He
it's
is
one
tall.
that's way
Mike
more
Porter.
annoying than it should be the whole time.
I think they're a little. I think I might have even put them slight, but we'll keep them as heavy favorites.
We
We
can
look
go
like
slight if
homers.
you
We have
want,
nobody
but-
as a coin flip.
Guess what?
have
We
two
are
teams-
homers.
Yeah, we
I
are.
honestly don't think you guys made that big of a homer list here. You guys have two teams as you've given them the edge over Denver and
Slight
like,
edge. I think it's kind of true.
I mean, Denver's floor is a lot higher.
So let us know in the chat. We'll also throw this on social media. You can let us know what you think. All right, let's go to the super chats. KO, what do we got?
The exquisite nugget. Eric, we missed you mostly.
No, Eric.
No, I'm not reading those
Okay.
anymore. One, like just I can't. 1, Lakers. 2, Thunder. 3, Tinder Pup. 4, Suns. 5, Dallas.
That's an insane person's list. Okay.
Yeah, that's actually unhinged. Don't ever leave us again, Eric. P.S. Vote. I got a head shave. Good for you, brother.
There you go.
Hey guys, that
Nice
last
clean.
one was just for me.
Oh, my bad. I didn't mean to comment on it.
Playboy Predator 999. Please, I hope
Wow.
we figure out Jamal's contract extension. Yeah, we might want to work on that name. Why is it delayed? And no, don't Kale, don't time us out for our takes. What do you
Oh
think?
my
Vogt?
God, that Playboy Predator, definitely Cedric Exquisite. All right, everybody, thanks for hanging out with us today. Do us a favor, hit that like button on the way out. The full squad is back tomorrow. Full squad.
Wait, the full squad?
Without Dab.
The full off-season squad is back together. All right, hit that like button on the way out.
We all silly like the mayor.